So there's a lot of cameras out there, a lot of great options, some bad options, but just sometimes a little overwhelming to see just how many cameras there are out there. But out of the cameras that I've been able to use over the last couple of years, there's one camera that has stood out to me as probably my favorite camera that I've ever used. And that is the Sony FX30. The Sony FX30, I don't think actually came out in 2024. It's probably 23 maybe. So it's not a brand new camera, but that doesn't make the camera bad. It just means that it's holding up well over the course of a year. And I think it's fantastic. Is it the best camera in the world and captures the greatest image in the world? No. But one of the reasons that I think it's my absolute favorite camera is because I really do think this might be one of the most versatile cameras out there. You see, I do a lot of different types of work. I work here at a church, so we do a lot of talking head stuff. We do some sort of podcasts. We do some live streaming stuff. We do events. We do just a whole bunch of different things. And not every camera is going to be perfect for every type of event. But I have found that the camera that I go to the most in all different aspects like that, including doing things like weddings, all the way down to just talking headshots, has been the FX30 for a few reasons. First off, the reason that I'm not choosing the FX3 is the price, right? You can get two FX30s for the price of an FX3, and it basically gives you all of the same functionality with just a couple of differences. And those differences aren't necessarily downsides. I think there's only one downside that I've experienced to this camera, which we're going to talk about later. But again, this is basically an FX3 with a crop size sensor on the inside, meaning that it's a smaller sensor, which to me is fine. And not only is the camera body cheaper, but because it's got a Super 35 sensor in there, the lenses are cheaper too. And that would be my next main point for this camera, are all of the lens options. Not only do you have access to all of Sony's full frame lenses, right? You got some fantastic Zeiss lenses, all their Sony G Master lenses, but you also have access to Super 35 lenses. So you have access to, like this one by Tamron, which is one of my favorites, the 17-70. You get access to a whole bunch of third-party manufacturers who make, Super 35 anamorphic lenses like these ones by Sure, or there's plenty of other good cinema lenses out there, like these ones that just are fantastic quality lenses that only cover Super 35. And the thing about them only covering Super 35 is that they tend to be a whole lot cheaper, at least half the price a lot of the time. Not only that, but you can also adapt basically any lens that you want to it, all Canon lenses, some vintage lenses like this Helios, you can adapt, or you could even get adapters like this one, which is a little speed booster by Viltrox, which actually makes it look more like a full frame camera and increases the amount of light hitting your camera. You can just do so much with not only the Sony E lens mount, because it's just got so many good lenses out there, but also because it's Super 35, you get access to all the full frame lenses and all the APS-C size lenses. Next up is probably just the feature set, right? This camera just offers so much for the price. Now, it doesn't offer things like 8K or 6K, or, it doesn't have the craziest dynamic range out of any camera. It's got great dynamic range, but just not anything wild. But it just kind of does everything well, which we can't say about a whole lot of cameras these days. This thing does not overheat, right? It's got a built-in fan. I've never experienced it overheat. I'm currently filming on the A6700, and I haven't had it overheat, but it got it very, very close. It gets hot to the touch. But this camera is just really, really reliable. It's not going to break on you. It's not going to fall apart. It just feels super robust. It's got every button and dial that you could want. It's very easy to control your camera settings. It's got a full-size HDMI out port. Now, to a lot of people, that's not overly necessary, but full-size HDMI is just so much better. And that full-size HDMI, if you run it into an Atomos recorder like a Ninja 5, means that you can record in ProRes RAW. So with this little device here, you can record raw video from this camera, which is just really cool, right? So with just a $1,700 or $1,800 camera, you can get ProRes RAW, really nice quality 4K ProRes RAW, just using the camera and the recorder. Now, this is not unique to the Sony FX30. Again, many cameras have this, but it's just nice that it does have it. Not only that, but you've also got the XLR handle, which is just a really nice addition. Honestly, it's kind of worth buying one of these used separately, because you can save a lot of money finding some of them used. But put this on the top of your camera and you now have an XLR input for your camera, which means you can run super expensive shotgun microphones. Like you could use an MKH 416 like this one, run it straight into the camera. So again, with these two simple accessories, you've got raw recording with full-size XLR inputs running straight from the camera, and which is just really, really nice to have. You can power this camera over USB-C, just using like power delivery, and plug it straight into your computer, giving you power delivery, and use this as probably one of the most overpowered webcams that you could use. Again, pairing that with the XLR handle, that means you can have a really nice 4K webcam with a full-size XLR microphone running straight into your computer, and use that for Zoom calls, for streaming, for gaming, whatever it is that you're using it for. It just is one of the highest quality kind of video audio inputs that you can use for live streaming and all that kind of stuff, which is, to me, is just really, really beneficial. Again, the FX3 can do this as well, but the FX30 does it at half the price. Again, I think that's just worth considering. Now, obviously, Sony is not the only camera company out there, but the reason that I kind of stick with Sony is because I think it has one of the best ecosystems out there. It's got great lenses, it's got a crazy amount of lenses that you can choose from, but it also has basically any camera that you want, right? No matter what kind of shoot or kind of style of work that you're doing, they have a camera for that type of job. And the amount of accessories that you can get for their cameras, whether you want to rig it up or tear it down to something simple, you just have so many options, and options are just so much better. A lot of other camera companies have been really slow to open up their systems to third-party organizations, whether it's lenses or accessories, and I think that's one of the best things that Sony has done early, is just opening up the E-mount so that other lens companies can make lenses, and just the amount of accessories for their cameras when it comes to rigging just makes everything so much easier. And the last thing I'll say about this camera and why I think it's one of the best out there is because the image quality is fantastic, right? The image quality out of this camera, the image quality out of any camera these days can be good, but this one, it's very easy to get a good looking image out of it. You know, I do a lot of stuff on this channel talking about the Sony ZV-E10, super cheap, great little camera for like $500, and you can get a great image out of it, but you kind of have to work at it quite a bit to sort of draw it out. You have to use kind of more unique and interesting lenses. This thing just has such a pleasing look to it. It's got a nice soft highlight roll off. It's got a really pleasing image and style to it. It's got good dynamic range, and you know, the camera isn't everything. To me, lenses are more important, but as far as cameras go, this one produces a great image, especially for the price that it comes in at. Pairing all of that with the, you know, a bunch of small stuff. You know, you've got IBIS in here. You got good mic inputs if you don't want to use the XLR handle. You got a nice screen. Not the best screen in the world, but a nice screen. Really simple menu. Sony often gets some hate about their menu system, but it's kind of all that I've known. So, you know, it's just kind of, I think it's pretty easy. It's got really nice big tally lights, so whenever you start recording, like, so many lights on the camera light up, and all of us have probably had the experience that, you know, you're filming something and then you go to stop your recording and you hit the button and you start recording and you're like, oh no, I didn't film that whole time. We've all had that, and having the tally lights on here that just tell you when you're recording just makes everything so much easier. Now, it's obviously not a perfect camera. Okay, the battery life is good, but it's not amazing, right? It does okay. I mean, I have noticed that if you use like an image stabilized autofocus lens, the battery life does drain quicker than obviously if you're using a manual lens, because the camera's sort of working a little bit harder. You know, it's good battery life. It's not the best in the world, but it's good. The only thing that I think has actually affected me when it comes to the downside to this camera is probably just low light performance. Low light performance isn't amazing, but for me personally, I don't shoot in low light much at all. So to me, it hasn't been a problem. If all you do is low light, I don't really know what that would be, but if all you do is low light and you need 12,000 ISO, yeah, you're gonna have to hop up to the FX3, but you know, for me, I'm never going over 3200 ISO for most of what I'm filming, because I typically do a lot of studio work. I've got lights, so I can adjust the brightness as I need. So yes, the low light performance isn't the best in my opinion, but for me, that's not a problem because I can control the lighting in my environment most of the time. And honestly, if that's the only downside that I can find, which kind of is true, then I'm pretty happy. You know, I think it's a fantastic camera. I think it's served me really well. It's been fantastic here at our church, and it just provides everything that I need it for. That doesn't mean, however, that it's going to do everything that you need. So one of the most important things when it comes to choosing your camera is to not make impulse decisions based off of what some YouTuber says. We can all fall into that. I've fallen into that plenty of times, but you have to do a bit of research. You have to think about it for yourself. What camera is going to be right for you? Maybe the Lumix S5 system is going to be better for you. Maybe Blackmagic and going with manual focus is going to be better for you. Maybe going with the Sony system is right for you. Whatever your choice is, just make sure that you do a bit of research, figure out what your needs are, ask what is it that you're filming and what camera best meets that need, and then do your research and go from there. Don't just buy a camera because some guy on the internet says so. Make sure that it's actually going to serve your purpose as well. And for me, the FX30 has been just that. It's an absolutely fantastic camera. So I want to know what you think. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Are you an FX30 user? If you are, tell me your experience. If you have another camera that is perfect for you, tell me what that camera is and why it's your favorite one. Tell me in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, do hit the like button. It means a whole lot. Or maybe even subscribe as we continue to build this channel. I appreciate all of you for doing so, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.